Good morning. Let's see what the weight is at. 183.0. 183. Check what we're looking like this morning.
What's up, guys? Post chest workout here. It was a good workout. Finished with a pretty good pump towards the end. I'm feeling pretty motivated, feeling pretty excited. I think it's just kind of chest day most of the time. People really, or guys, I'd say, maybe even females, but kind of like the chest day. So good workout. Tonight, my plan, I gotta add the exercises I did from yesterday for legs. I'm gonna add that as well as tonight's workout. And then I know I had mentioned something about switching down or changing calories. I need to come up with a new, how I'm gonna do that. And I'll get that posted in there, and then I'm gonna plan for a day that we start that. Even though today was 183, I've been in a 2 pound window, that 183 to 185 for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, I don't know. It's been long enough that I determined that I've kind of plateaued at this calorie range. So I need to bring it down. And I think I'm gonna bring it down. If I'm guessing, it's probably gonna be about 200 calories. Yeah, so obviously some of my strength, I'd imagine, like less calories, you're not gonna have as much strength when you're lowering the calories. So my lifts are probably gonna go down a little bit, and that's probably to be expected. I mean, I've even noticed here recently that I'm getting strong. I don't know, maybe it's from day to day. Some days I feel stronger, some days I don't, but I'm not really going up in the weight anymore. You know, towards the end of November, it's kind of like this bell curve almost, where it was like, I got stronger as I got more back into the gym, and then that bell curve, the back end here is where as I've started to diet and do stuff with that, it's kind of started to round itself back on to a decline in strength. Not that the muscles themselves aren't being trained, I guess, but because there's not enough calories to fuel them. So yeah, I'm gonna get that thrown up on there here in the next day, probably, once I figure out what it's going to be, and we'll start eating a new thing of calories, which is going to come with a transition to some effect, right? I might be a little bit hungrier. You know, there's some things that obviously, as I've grown accustomed to what I'm currently dealing with, I'll not have to grow accustomed to that. And so that's going to be the changes with the diet and stuff like that. I know I've talked about creating different content than just this and getting on a routine of posting and workflow. I've been trying to look up different styles of like for instance, going on like TikTok or, you know, YouTube Shorts or something, and looking up, say, a hashtag, say fitness, and going on there and seeing what people are doing. You know, a lot of people are, you know, they're doing stuff like when they're getting ready for the gym, they kind of just record every different little aspect, whether that's getting the shaker bottle out, you know, doing all these things, and then they basically it's not stop motion, but it's almost kind of like that, where it's just like 2 seconds clips all just spammed together, like leading up to them going to the gym, something like that. And just kind of like, it's kind of more behind the scenes stuff, but just adding more forms of like kind of entertainment for you guys, and just trying to come up with some different stuff, just to be more involved, you know, maybe try to, I don't know, be funny and witty with different things. I mean, I don't know how extreme I'll get with stuff. There's some people on there, I'm not gonna name names, that I've seen that like get a little wild with doing stuff like that. You know, and for some parts it is entertaining and stuff, but like I said, when in a way previous video, you know, being authentic and stuff like that, like if I'm not gonna, like, it's okay to be silly and like create some entertainment for you guys. It's, you know, as part of playing a character, in the sense of like, this is my authentic self. This is like, and if you guys watched enough videos now, you know my normal personality. So then like, if I start doing some funny stuff, you know, it's like, okay, he's kind of playing it up for the video or whatever. It was a funny video, but we know that's not him or something like that. So like I said, I don't want to get confused between who I am and what I might do in a video. Not that it'd be anything extreme, but I've seen people do like random stuff, like they get an ice bath or whatever, you know, or one of those like little ice bath things, and they'll like jump in it and just do kind of exaggerated stuff because it's cold and stuff like that. Whatever. So just coming up with different ideas for content, and like then trying to plan it, and then try to schedule it out and balance it. Like if I get on a routine of like recording a couple things every day, but I only post 1 or 2 or whatever, like I talked about in the workflow video, it's kind of just figuring that out. Yeah, I mean, it outside of having someone who does the recording and editing for you on a daily basis, like somebody that you hire, that all you have to do is just do your normal stuff, and then they're like, hey, hold this real quick, hey, set this down real quick, pop this open, whatever, making the videos for you, unless you have somebody like that, it is a lot of extra work. Because not only do you have to be the person in front of the camera, you have to be the person behind the camera, making sure that everything's right for that. And, you know, it can definitely be worth it. But I think that's one of the positives about YouTube and stuff like that, is it kind of makes you a little bit of a jack of all trades when it comes to this stuff. And you kind of got to learn about everything, whether that's shooting a scene, you know, whatever that could possibly be a part of it. You know, getting the proper lighting in places. And you think about, like, my house is an older house, and I can almost guarantee that any room I go in is not going to have a quality lighting experience. And it's like, okay, how can I improve on this? What are things I can do without changing up the entire dynamic of my house to make this better, to make it more maybe natural or however. So yeah, a lot of figuring stuff out with that, you know, trying to think of something. I haven't really had a good message, you know, recently. I haven't really thought of anything new that I thought was important. I know that part of the 75 Hard that we do is we have to read like 10 pages of a book that is motivational, self-help, success, whatever, something in the realm of betterment of yourself. And right now I'm reading this 7 Habits of Effective People or Effective Leaders or something to that effect. I forget the exact name right now. The 7 Daily Habits of Effective Leadership. I think everyone should be able to figure out what book it is if I can't remember the name. But currently reading that and just getting into it. I think I'm like 60 pages in or something. So there have been a couple good examples that it's gave in there to draw upon. You know, I was talking the other day with somebody about leadership and stuff like that, and like, you know, being a leader, you kind of got to provide purpose, direction, motivation for the people underneath you. And you also have to instill a culture of trust that people are going to want to follow you and want to be a part of it. You have to get people to buy into it. Culture is hard to, you can't change culture overnight, and you can't build it overnight. Culture is like a timed thing. I mean, you think about like all these different communities out there that exist and the culture that's built within those communities. We're talking generations it takes to sometimes do that, to change the culture. And, you know, so if you have a business that you didn't create good culture on it, it could make or break it, and it could take a long time to correct that culture. So from the beginning, you want to start with building a very good culture within that community that you have. And, you know, when I was talking about building a community on Discord and stuff like that, that's like one of the things I'm going to strive to do, is to create a culture where we hold each other accountable. One, right? Sometimes the truth hurts if you're fucking up, and sometimes you got to be told you're messing up. And you have to create a culture that is a positive culture that everyone wants to build each other up and help each other and be there for each other. And that's not something that's done overnight, right? It takes relationship building. It takes all sorts of things that end up molding what a good community's culture looks like. So keep that in mind when you're like at work and you're talking about, and you're pissing and moaning about like how terrible work is and how your boss hates you and this and that and the other, and anything you could think of, right? You're creating and enforcing the culture, right? Because now the next guy next to you is like, yeah, screw this place. That is right. And you're just breeding contempt in the culture, right? Because the right decision would be like, okay, if all this stuff sucks, do what you can to change it. And if there's nothing that you can do to change it, then find a new job. But to sit there and breed poor culture is only going to make it generationally bad for the ones above, or the ones to come after you. So you really have to think about what you're doing when you're like talking about the culture of things. The same thing reflects to your peers around you, your kids, anyone that you surround yourself with. You can breed a poor culture, whether it's culture in your household, a culture in your family. So just keep that in mind. I guess that's my message for today, is just every environment you're in has a culture, and you kind of need to not either figure out go someplace else or help change the culture, but to buy it, to continue to do the same rhetoric, it's not conducive to good behavior, because then it creates a terrible mindset for you to have and to adopt. So tomorrow will be back day, and that's about it. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.